In some cases, the message arrived with handcuffs.
Do you have any weapons on you?
In Florida, Michigan, and Maryland, an ongoing investigation has led to arrests.
This Department of Motor Vehicle employee was arrested on the job for selling genuine driver's licenses through fraudulent means. Her charges carry mandatory prison time, up to 5 years on the first offense, and the forfeiture of all personal assets. The legal ramifications of this crime have not only ruined her life, but her actions have far-reaching consequences to the security of our nation. The 19 hijackers involved in the 9/11 attacks were able to obtain a total of 26 state-issued DMV identification documents. By acquiring these documents, these individuals were able to live amongst us, avoid suspicion, mask their places of residence, and hide their motives. These licenses enabled them to enroll in flight schools, purchase airline tickets, and board airplanes. When DMV employees abuse their position by issuing or selling genuine driver's licenses through fraudulent means, it puts us all at risk and jeopardizes our nation's security. In Illinois, a federal investigation into financial bribes for driver's licenses led to dozens of convictions and the indictment of former Governor George Ryan on racketeering and other charges. And in Virginia, more than 200 people lost their licenses because of fraud committed by a former DMV worker who sold licenses for as much as $2,500 each. Former DMV employee Terrell Smith knows the consequences of abusing the power of his position all too well. Smith was convicted of selling hundreds of fraudulent driver's licenses while employed by the DMV.
Well, it started out as just doing, passing them on the learner's permits. And then as that went along, the whole license issue just became more easy instead of just going, it was smaller money doing the permits and a lot harder to keep track of.
When Smith graduated from learner's permits to licenses, he began selling genuine driver's licenses and commercial driver's licenses to criminals involved in narcotics, firearms distribution, and murder. Not only did Smith's actions threaten national security and destroy his career, but what he did not realize is that there is no honor among thieves, because the criminals he was dealing with began to threaten his life.
I should have said no. And it wouldn't have been a whole big ordeal, the whole feeling of, am I going to live the next day? They're going to follow me home. I had to go into hiding.
Now serving 101.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement, commonly referred to as ICE, requested assistance from the DMV to determine the amount of fraudulent documents that were being issued by Smith. ICE also installed surveillance equipment above Smith's workstation to further monitor the transactions he conducted. ICE and DMV investigators determined that Smith issued in excess of 200 fraudulent driver's licenses and commercial driver's licenses. And the indicators of fraud included false passports, birth certificates, social security numbers, and other biographical data entered on applications by Smith.
It was pretty much that they had everything. They had everything that I've done, from every license that I've made to videotapes to, I guess they may have had phone conversations. I don't know that part, but they had everything.
The investigation led to Smith's confession. Smith began participating in the ongoing case. He identified co-conspirators and was forced to surrender his illicit proceeds that were in excess of $40,000.
I have a lot of regrets. My family, I still see it sometimes that even though they supported me through all of this, I still see some type of disappointment from them. My job security, my jobs are very limited to what I can do.
Because you have
because
a
of
criminal record.
Yes. I've always wanted to be in law enforcement since I was young, and now that's pretty much out the window. And the road that the higher road that I want to take for myself, I can't take.
Can I help the next person, please?
A state driver's license is one of the most acceptable forms of identification for proof of legal residency and a person's true identity. Stringent standards have been put in place across the country on the forms of identification that will be accepted to receive a legal state driver's license or identification cards. These restrictions have made it more difficult for terrorists and other criminals to obtain genuine state driver's licenses or identification cards. A way around the restrictions is to approach motor vehicle employees with offers of financial gain to enter into illegal conspiracies with their criminal networks. In fact, in recent years, a number of DMV employees have willingly entered into illegal scams with criminal networks to engineer genuine driver's licenses through fraud for illicit profit. Would you compromise your integrity for a fee? April Bell did. She worked for the DMV for 3 years before she entered into an illegal conspiracy to provide genuine driver's licenses to criminals. She had already left the department and was working for another employer for a year before her crime caught up with her.
The day that I was indicted was on September the 4th, and my father went with me. And the thing that got me is they had to put me in handcuffs. You know, I had to walk in the courtroom with my father looking at me, and the only thing I could do was just put my head down because I knew that I'm embarrassing to him. And that's that. I wouldn't want anyone to feel that way. Nobody.
A grand jury indicted an MBA worker today for making fake driver's licenses. Investigators say 35-year-old April Bell of Parkville worked at the MBA branch at Mondawmin Mall between July of 07 and January of 08. They say she made 20 fake licenses at least.
This is not a victimless crime. You will be caught, and this criminal act will follow you for the rest of your life. The licenses you sell give terrorists and other criminals the ability to obtain employment and gain access to American technology at high-tech companies or critical infrastructure sites such as military bases, shipping ports, or airports. And the recipients of these licenses can open bank accounts to funnel illicit funds, both at home and abroad. You are giving a terrorist or other criminal the ability to commit more crimes or threaten our nation's security, because that driver's license will allow them to move freely throughout the United States.
When I went to court, I had so many people there. My daughter was there, and the only thing that she could do was just put her head down. And I feel like I disappointed them. And that's something that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life, because what I did is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. And I'm so sorry that I did it. I also regret just everything. If I could go back, I wouldn't do it.
The unlawful distribution of driver's licenses and identification cards damages the integrity of the DMV process and can cause irreparable harm to our nation's infrastructure. These are serious crimes, and you will suffer serious consequences, including prison time, loss of your job and career, and forfeiture penalties.
They're going to catch you one way or another. It's going to be caught. It's going to get caught. Thinking I was getting away with it, a year and a half into it, and then boom, it's over. It's over. Your career, whatever career opportunities you wanted, or that you wanted for yourself, you're not going to get it.
More than 200 forms of state driver's licenses are currently in circulation in the United States. Driver's license identity theft is often categorized as the crime that keeps on giving, because victims are victimized over and over again. Global criminal enterprises like terrorists, gangs, and other unlawful organizations rely upon corrupt individuals to perpetrate their crimes. An insecure licensing system is vulnerable to misuse and abuse by criminals. Remember, you hold a position of authority and trust at the DMV, and your actions can seriously affect our national security and adversely impact our economy. Be alert to scams and criminal intent. If you are aware of illicit activity, report it. If you are approached by someone with the intent to commit these crimes, report it. Report your observations of fraud directly to the local DMV fraud liaison. You can also call ICE at 1-866-DHS-2ICE or go to ice.gov to report fraud. Do the right thing. Report it.